Hello and welcome to the second part of my tutorial to show you how to get things into VRChat. Now we're trying to make our character a little more, give him a little more features, and we're gonna need Blender. And this video is for people mostly that are not familiar with this stuff. So first I want to do is explain you a little bit about Blender. Press the middle mouse button to rotate around the point. Maybe one thing you want to do is go to user preferences and enable zoom to mouse position. This will, and then save user settings. This will allow you to zoom wherever your mouse cursor is, and that is comfortable to use. Also, you want to turn this around so you have the green line to the front of you. Okay, to select stuff, you use the right mouse button. If you press Shift and hold it and select another object, you can choose several objects. You could also press Ctrl and then with the left mouse button circle select, or you can press B and select like this, also with the left mouse button. What is very useful to know is that you can use the numpad to move around as well. If you press the arrow keys, you will rotate, and if you press Ctrl and the arrow keys, you can pan. And what is even more useful is if you press the numbers. For example, you press 7, you get the top perspective, and if you press 9, you get the bottom perspective. If you press 1, you get the front perspective. And this is incredibly useful, especially when you want to place stuff, what we are doing later. And another thing is up here, if you go to this little triangle and then press left key, you can drag out another window. And you can also do this down. And then if you hover over and press the numpads, you can make different perspectives for you. So it's easier to see it from different sides. And you can also change the display method, like here or then here, say to wireframe, but we're gonna see this in progress later anyway. Okay, so what I want to try to show you maybe now in this screen for a second is how to make your own rig, your own skeleton. And to do this, it's good that this selection here is in the center. If it's not the case, you press Shift S and say cursor to center, and this will make your cursor, this is your cursor, to the center. And this is the way you want to start. You start with your first bone. Let's say this would be your model up here. You start by pressing Add, Armature, and Single Bone. And this is the bone you're going to start with. And what you now want to do is take this and place it on your model. But first thing I want to show you is this. You see the bone is shining, if you place it in your model, this is what happens. So what you want to do is you select your armature, go up here to this little man and press X-ray. And what this does is it turns transparent, so you can choose it pick it and see what you are doing. And the first bone you start your skeleton with is your hips bone. So let's move this a little up and say this is where your hips would be. And from there you work on, you go to edit mode, and then you press E and drag, and you extract another bone. Now to have this straight, you go to this window down here and turn the first two windows to 0, and you see if you turn it around it's nice and straight. You can move this later on, but you don't want to move it left or right, you just want to move it backwards, for example, and so it's nice and symmetric for especially for your first try with this. It's good if you have a mixamo rig to see how it's basically done. I'm going to show you a normal skeleton in a moment, but for now let's just continue with this, so you know how to get there. I'm pressing E again, extrude another bone, and what I do this time is I go to this little bone button here and uncheck connected, then click on it, drag it away, because sometimes things are better not connected, and if you watch the example skeleton you see that, and yeah, that should be fine for you. I'm going to extract just some more bones. And now to the really important thing, you only have to make one side of your skeleton. And names are pretty important. You want to, this bone, this first bone, you want to have it called hips, and I'm going to tell you the other names later on. So check this out before you work, because you can name them right as you're working. You do it in this little bone window here. Call this hips, capital letter, and this is for the main bones. And for the bones on one side, like your arms or your legs, something is really important. It doesn't really matter how you name them, but you must name them. This is right, so it's left side of the model. You can call them left something, or if you prefer it, like let's call it, in this case we can call it shoulder, but we must add point L. Big or small doesn't really matter, but it's really important that you do that. And whatever you name your bones, make sure it's the same. So this is .L, this is .L, and this another point .L, and this is more .L. Okay, and once you're finished with this, and I don't know, in previous versions of Blender it might be a little more complicated. Now it's pretty easy. When you're done with one side, you can select, like I show you, rather with Shift or the other selection method. Select all bones on one side, and then go to the little armature tab here, down here, and press Symmetrize, and you're done. And you have it perfectly lined up on the other side. And if you have a skeleton already ready, there's a nice feature as well. If you select, if you go here to options, and if this is correct named left and right, you see this is now named right. This is perfect, this symmetry tool. You can press X-axis mirror, and then if you modify one side, the other side will be modified as well. So this is incredibly easy, and so I don't want to address this much further. If you need more help, there's tutorials on this, but I think this should do for the moment. Okay, next thing I'm going to show you is rider. I made myself a standard dummy, and for the model I show you next, all I did was resize this. I used Blender for this. I brought in whoops, now I have the armature selected. I brought in a cube. Let's go to object mode, add cube. Whoops. And okay, this let's the starting cube is gone. Sorry about that. I don't really know how to get the starting cube back. Here it is. I think this is it. The Blender cube is 2 meters. So you see, my is about 1 meter 80 or something. I like that. Okay. So I resized it. What I also did was center the object down here. So if it's not centered, or you bring in a model that is not centered, put it right above this place here. Don't move it left or right, because then it's messed up. If you select it, you have you can do two things. You press Shift S, cursor to center, and now you press Shift Control Alt C and say Origin to 3D cursor, and then it's down here. Everything is fine. And if you remember the last video, if I put this one in mixamo, it wouldn't be sucked in the ground. And do the same thing for your armature as well when you're ready. So that's that. You maybe want to know how to combine these. To do this, you first select your armature, your mesh, then shift select the armature, press Ctrl P and say with automatic weights. And then this is joined together. If you want to undo this, you have to press Alt P and say clear parent in case you messed up stuff. So this is all I want to show you in this window. So we're going to close this up and come to the really interesting part. So now we're going to make our character ready for VRChat fun stuff. And this is what I came up with. I had to adjust the bones a little bit. And right now I see this is a little bit messed up. So what I'm going to do is go to edit mode, select this, edit mode, and armature, symmetrize. Okay, didn't know how this messed up, but I just seen this. My model is working, so that's not the problem for now, but just did this. Okay, here we go. The first thing you notice, this is all gray. We have down here, we have selected solid view, and we don't have, if we go to material, yes, it's purple. I have another color on this. This is it should be gray, but doesn't matter for now. What I want to show you is how to we go back to solid for the moment. How to apply different materials, and the way you're going to do is you go to object mode, click on your model, go to edit mode, and now you can select the places where you want to have a secondary texture, for example. But let's first bring the texture in for the whole model. Object mode. You press this, and you see this is called null here above, and we call this first text, for example. First material, not text. First material, and we go to texture, and this is a previous one. Sorry about that. Go to the current thingy here, and when I now go to, let's do it in this window, to material, you see this is nicely colored and the eyes are colored, but maybe I want to have the colors, the eyes shine or do something like glowing or stuff, or I want other parts of my body. I can do this. So I go to edit mode, and in this case I select the eye, press the L key, and because the eyes are like we made them, are separate, or the whole eye is selected, and I press L again, hovering over here. Now I have both eyes selected, and what I'm going to do now is go back to the material, press the little plus button, new, and the material pops up, and I click on this and call this second material, and press assign. And if I select something else, now you see here in the window the green eyes are gone. So what we have to do now is again go to material, from this second material to here, new, open, and we open the same texture because we only have one. And now it's all fine again. And if you want to see the difference, you go to the material, and down here you can change stuff, and we need this for later as well, so I'm going to show you real quick. If you now, for example, when you also see that it works, you see the eyes are different, and you do this later in Unity for the materials, because you have to assign the own materials and shaders for it. But just you know that it works, and yeah, that's fine. Now we have two materials for our model for later use, and I don't know if I already applied. So what I'm going to do next is go to the object mode, choose my regular skeleton, choose my mesh. No, sorry. What I do first, because this is pretty essential if you want to keep it easy and work with a model made like I showed you before. We go to edit mode, go over the eye, L again, and now we're gonna press the P button, and we can use selection. Then both eyes are one object, but we know these are loose parts, so we can lose parts. If you want to divide the selection, you can do selection, and then just do it once again. Just select from the thing that appears, then just do it again. Press P by loose parts, and now you see we have the two eyes separated here. And this is for our purpose now, this is pretty important. Okay, so we select the main mesh, and shift select the armature, Ctrl P with automatic weights, and we can check this. If we go here to pose mode, click on like the neck bone, press rotate. Down here you can select scale, rotate, and move. And we move this, you see the eyes are not picked. Control Z undoes stuff, and it's always good if you do this, bring it back to where it belongs. Press Control Z, don't forget that. Okay, but what we want to do is we go to object mode and now select the now what we really want to do is we want to have bones in the eyes, and this is what makes us have random eye movement, like eye tracking. This is a very nice feature, and the game applies this automatically. All we have to do is set up the bones correctly. And to do this, we have round eyes. We pick the first eye. Let's decide which one. Let's do it with the left one, which is right on the screen. What we want to do is press Shift, Control, Alt, C, and this time we set origin to center of mass. And this gives us this point right in the middle here. And the next thing we want to do is we press Shift S and say cursor to selected. And this gives us the little cursor right here. And this is exactly where we want it. This makes stuff for us very easy. And what we're gonna do, what we do next is, just for the sake, we click on, we go up here and press the little I button and hide this one, so it's even easier for us to work. And yeah, now we choose the armature, go to edit mode, click up here, press E and extrude a bone. Let's say like this. And now this is really important. 0 and 0 again down here, so it's straight, and it must stay straight, so don't move it around anywhere. Make sure you select, and now you only move with the arrow keys, with these keys, and you want to move it to the center down here. And you can either use one of your windows, if that's help, and you see how good it is that we changed this, so we can drag really nice. Whoops, see, I did something wrong. Control Z brings it back. What I forgot is to go to this little bone button up here and disconnect it. That's really important. Okay, here we go. Now we place this nicely and put it down. And let's zoom in. And now, well, let's do it on the big screen. I could now also use the numpad keys to be even better with this. So you want this as perfect as you can. What I first did was I didn't know it. I just placed the bone straight in the eye and didn't put this little point down here in the center. And what happens is the eyes pop in and out. It's a nice effect. You can work with this if you have any use for it, just you know it. Okay, let's say this is already perfect, which it isn't, but you get the point how to do it. And once you have it perfect, all you need to do then is again go to the armature down here. Oh no, wait, first we have to name it. And this is very important. This is the left eye. So we call it left eye, and exactly like this. Large L, large E, left eye. Press return. And now we go down here to the armature tab and just press symmetrize again, and we have another perfectly lined up eye right here. Okay, there we go. What you want to do now is, and this took me a little bit to find out, go to pose mode. Now this bone is selected. Select this. This bone selected. Now you press. Now you just press right click the eye, and then shift select the bone. And what you do then is what you did before. Control P with automatic weights. Now this can mess up, so what we do now is we press this and this and this just a little bit around until we just have this bone selected. And when it's selected, then we press this one. Is all just clicking the right mouse button. Shift select the bone, Control P with automatic weights. And to check this, we can now turn down here to rotate, and as we see, this already rotates really nice. Control Z, put it back in place. You can do it with the other eye too. Everything looks fine. Bring back the main character. You can maybe check it again, just that nothing moves along with it. Control Z, back again for the other eye. Move it. Whoops. Doesn't matter. Control Z. It did what it does. So we double check. You choose the neck, move it around. Everything is perfect. Control Z, back to position. And this is all you need for the eye tracking. And it's a really nice effect. But let's continue with the shape keys. Let me for a second show you this. This is all the shape keys you want to need. We need blink left, blink right, and it's essential that these are named like this and put it in the right direction. So copy this list or go to the link and look it up. It's also nice to know what's mentioned here, that you just need blink left, close both eyes, and for the other three you just have to move a little mesh, and it doesn't matter much. Okay, so let's do it and show you how to do it with a model like this. What we gonna do is first we go up here and hide the armature for a moment, and I'm gonna show you how to make these shape keys. Now this model, the mouth is open, and this is not really perfect because this is how you will run around. If you go here to this little triangle and press plus, you have the basic shape key, and this is how your model will run around. So what I had to do is close this mouse, and we're gonna go to the sculpt mode, and here we can choose the grab tool, make this a little bit larger, and just this a little bit really large, and just go over here and close the mouse. So by default this appears to be in symmetry. I had no use for switching this off, sorry about that. I don't want to look it up right now, but you can I think you can switch it off if you are looking for a special effect or something. For now this isn't needed. Okay, now if I press plus now for the basis, this is how it will when it walks. This will my mouth be when it looks. how it looks. And if you're curious about this, you can use the smooth tool, smooth this a little bit, but you don't have to be so so curious about this. If I bring back another light, let me do this for a second. Go back to object mode, add lamp, use a Hemi, and put this up a little bit. Okay, here we have the model, and this is, you see, it's not that bad. And furthermore, if we go for a second to the go back to click on the model, go to the material slot, and put down, oops, this is on the first material, put down the intensity. This is far more what it will look like in the game. And if you move close to this, you see this is not as bad as it looks here. So let's say I would be fine with this for the for my run around movement. I can go back here and now start shape keys. So all I need to do is press the little plus button, and I get the basis shape key, and the next will be key 1, and you have to name it like in the list, but I show you a little trick for how to do it, and you can see this in the other tutorial video as well, but it's not from scratch, so I think this is useful. We call the first now, it's called VRC.V Sil, I think, but for the moment we can rename them. We call it silent, and raise this value to full. And then if you want to, this will be the one when you stand around and don't say anything. This will how your mouth look like. And if you want to have it be the same, you just move a little mesh somewhere. Again, you go to the sculpt mode, and let's say I move a little mesh just like here. That's all. So the mouse stays itself. I closed it a little bit. So now you see the difference. This is when I stand, this is when I walk, this is when I stand, this is when I walk. Okay, turn this back to 0 and apply the next key. And what I did, or what you can do, is just make a key, say it, let's call it open, and just, oh yes, forgot, go to full, and what I did was just open the mouth real big, like I told you. If this is bothering you, use the smooth tool, make this a little bit smoother. You see up here it looks pretty nice. Honestly, this is not a real problem. Now turn this back to 0 again, and now there's the funny thing. If you now raise this just a little bit, and for example use this also a little bit, you can move these around, and the more keys you have, the more you can choose this. Then you go to the little dark arrow down here and say new shape from mix. This creates a new key. Don't forget to turn these back down to 0, and this key is already like that. And let's say you want to modify it, keep it on 1, make your modifications, like grab it and say I want this like this, and everything is fine. And now we have two. We can just say name this whatever you like. Now we have even more options. We take the open one a little bit, and we want to choose this one a little bit for another expression. And again, we just say new shape from mix. And so you work your way through until you have all these A, C, D, E, F, G. You can use a mirror or something. And for the blinking, let's cover this for a second again. Turn these down to 0 again. Let's create a new shape key, set it to 1. What I did was just move these up here, and from down I came as well. You got the idea. Until this was closed, and I had to drag this a little bit out more, so this when it's closed, this doesn't look buggy. But these are very large eyes, so the smaller your eyes, the easier this will be. It wasn't a problem at all. So you know how to do it. You only remember you only have to do it for the first VRC blink left, and the other ones just move a little mesh. They don't matter much. I noticed though that when you look down, I think the lower lids come up, so don't move it too far if you don't want to have this effect. I think we're done, and if you apply this, your character will have all features that you can have. Let's close this from the Lipsync. Now this is weight paint. You go, you press the go to object mode if you want to check the bones or do additional stuff, like have other stuff move around with your legs, or a workaround to have secondary legs. We're going to talk about additional stuff in a moment, but the most part of the video is done for now. Make sure you check the names. The armature must be called armature. Your mesh. Oh yes, what I did is I selected the 3 parts and pressed Ctrl J to put them back together to one mesh, and then renamed it to body. I think I don't have to cover it. Just go to object mode, shift select all 3 things, press Ctrl J and rename it to body. Armature must be named armature. And now the bones are very important. These must be called, let's go to the little bone button here. This must be called hips. This must be called spine. This must be called chest. This must be called right eye. But you've seen where we extracted. We extracted from right from the top here. This must be called neck, and this must be called head. Or if this is not like this, and the eyes must be named right as well. If this is not like this, anything is not named correctly, it won't work. So make sure this is done correctly. You double check this, and then you can go to Unity, and I'm going to show you real quick. Sorry for the background noise if you hear it. There's people working in the house. You remember, make it humanoid and stuff, place the points, everything. But this time we have Lipsync, so we go here, choose Visema, choose body, and now, oh yes, if you want the two textures, it's better to save the scene, the Blender scene, and drag in the Blender file directly. Then you will have the two materials. So for example, and I think if you're new, you don't know, let's go to the body for a second, open the standard shader. Emission is the thing that makes stuff glow, just that you know. If you check this and make the color bright, this is going to glow a little bit. So just that you know. But back to this. Now you have to put the, if you click here, you see this is lined up nicely, blink left, blink right, make sure it's written correctly, everything. And then you just put in the matching names, and then you can upload and everything will be fine. Okay, but there's a little bit more to cover. Don't gonna show it, but I want to talk about it. So let's go to the links, and maybe we start with additional stuff you can do. And this is popping stuff out. You can override stuff. I'm gonna give you the tutorials for it, but what you mainly do is hide stuff in your armature. Let's pop this up for a moment. You see, he just placed a lightsaber in his armature, and he's gonna animate it, and in the animation he's gonna say enable it and make active, and then this will be shown. If you make this active like in another video I'm gonna show you, if you want to watch this video, for example, you took a particle effect and just placed it on the avatar, and if it's play on if it's on start on awake, it will play along your avatar, and you will have particle effects on your avatar. If this is nice for you, check out this tutorial. But let's for a second go back to this. You can here nicely also see how it is how the lightsaber is done. It's basically two parts. It's the grip. Well, I don't know where to see here. It's the grip. Another one for this with emission, and he also added a light. I don't know what the light is for, but I think it makes it look even better. So this is how you do this. You can pop out everything. You can replace your hands by bigger hands. You can do any kind of funny stuff with it, and maybe you want even do your own particle effects. It's not as hard as you think. I have a little instruction videos here how to make your own particle effects. It's not much to learn. Maybe you want to look through it. I also will provide you with this video series, so you should look up when you want to see how everything is done in Blender really nicely. You can also see how texturing in Blender is done and stuff. And shaders are pretty nice. I will give you this link where you get shaders, but let me for a second open up Unity again and show you something funny with shaders. I think it's this one. Yeah, here it is. Let's put him up here. No, it's not this one. I think it's this one. Is it? Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Or is it? It is. I press play. Oops. And now you see what he does. that's just a shader with that moves the verticals. But you could also move the texture and stuff. Pretty funny thing to play with. Shaders, you can edit your shaders if you double click on a shader. If you grab the shader somewhere and want to edit it, Microsoft Visual Studio will pop up and you can play around with stuff. I'm not going into detail, but if it's fun for you, for me it was a little fun. This didn't work out so well. For unknown reason, the texture got broken, but I still like it. So much for the shader. And let's go to the very last thing I want to talk about. And for the characters, you could also make additional stuff, like, but I don't know about. You can override, I think you can override the idle position. So you have additional bones like wings you want to have fly, but I think it only works in the idle modus for now. But the game is alpha, so things can be better documented and stuff. You can also override the walking animations, but I didn't figure it really out. I asked around a little, but there was not much help, and the admins promised that documentation is coming up, and that's also pretty much for what I'm going to talk for the last thing I want to talk about. That is world building, and I'm very casual with this. I just started trying out stuff, but showing you and talking to you a little bit about this. This is just a simple plane, and as long as there's a mesh collider, you can walk on it, and you can place lights. I'm going to provide you with a video about Unity lights that I think is very interesting. So you learn about baking lights and real-time lights and stuff, and I seriously hope documentation for this is coming up soon, because the worlds I saw were pretty small and not very interactive, and there is a trigger system. I'm gonna introduce you to this. This is a box, and all I did was add component and added a trigger. And what you might not find out, if you pop this out, I didn't find this, then you can put in an action. If you press down here, you can choose, press plus, you can choose an event, and here you have different actions. And then you get this to work. You see at health, at damage, the damage and health system doesn't work. It's bugged right now, and I hope this is going to be fixed, because it would be very fun to build an interactive world. But this isn't well documented, and I didn't get much answers. Just hope it gets better for you. To note is that right now there is beta running. They're gonna use Playmaker to make game stuff happen. I don't know where this leads to. I heard that the basic idea is that for later in the game, everything should be able to be done in the game, or maybe the games that exist can be handed out as prefabs to the players, or users, so they can put in their own stuff and modify things. I really hope this works out fine, and everything will be good even for new users to have fun with this. But the basic concept is easy. Now we come to SketchUp. You could also create maps, or grab a whole town from the SketchUp place, or just make sure you have the right to use it, and then put it in here. Make sure it has a collider, and you can walk on it. and place lights. Maybe one other thing is right here. This is just a cylinder, a point light, and what I did here is I placed the VRC pickup script on it, and that allows it to pick stuff up. That's really nice. You see, I already have a particle effect on here, but I have to make another custom particle effect, so it's going to be a torch because this map is really dark. If I turn this off, if I turn just one light off, it's going to be, you can't see it right now, but it's really dark. In game it's totally dark, so you only have the torch to run around. Here's the particle effect. Make sure its simulations place is local when you place it in here, then it will move fine along with your model. Like here you see it better. There we go. You see the light I pointed in at it, and the particle effect move along with it. So this is how you get can make stuff pick up. It must to pick it up. You must also have a rigidbody. Just add component rigidbody. Okay, I think we're done. That's all I wanted to show you. If you have more questions, make sure you go to the chat thingy here, Discord, yeah, and see you then.